Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm Lynelle Ellis, your host, president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and delighted that you've tuned in for the program today. If you've been looking forward to Secret Life of the Desert coming up, you will not want to miss the interview today with Mike Denny, who's our host. He's a naturalist and host for the show, and he has some amazing stories to share with us from a few sneak previews of the show that have already happened, and an inspiring story about some things with Secret Life of the Forest. So you will definitely want to stay tuned for that. And also for our station news segment at the end of the program, when I'll give you all the most recent updates. Let's begin now with our devotional thought. Have you ever stood up for something, stood up for a cause or some perspective that just wasn't popular? Well, I've recently been reading the story of the Apostle Paul in Ephesus. This story comes out of Acts chapter 19. Now, you might think that I'm going to talk about Paul's courage. And yes, he had a lot of courage for spreading the gospel. But today, I'm actually going to bring to our attention a lesser known character, a city clerk from Ephesus named Alexander. First of all, a little background. Ephesus was the home of the Temple of Artemis. Now, Artemis was also known as Diana to the Romans, so the goddess Diana or the goddess Artemis. This temple to Artemis was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and it was built in 559 BC. And there's evidence even of earlier temples being built on that same site as early as the Bronze Age. So this temple from 559 BC has already been there a while by the time Paul is there. And Ephesus was an economically vibrant area. There were merchants from all over Asia Minor who would come to Ephesus and were drawn to the Temple of Artemis. The temple was actually built over a 220-year period, and it was made of pure marble. And inside the temple was the idol of Artemis. Festivities were celebrated there every May, and Ephesus was the destination of many pilgrimages to come to that temple and to see Artemis in her temple. Now, the Apostle Paul, when he visited Ephesus, made quite an impact. Let's read about part of what happened there. If you want to hear the whole story, you got to read the whole chapter of Acts 19. But we're going to begin at verse 8. Acts 19, verse 8. Paul entered the synagogue and spoke boldly there for 3 months, arguing persuasively about the kingdom of God. But some of them became obstinate. They refused to believe and publicly maligned the way. So Paul left them. He took the disciples with him and had discussions daily in the lecture hall of Tyrannus. This went on for 2 years, so that all the Jews and Greeks who lived in the province of Asia heard the word of the Lord. And now moving down to verse 23. About that time there arose a great disturbance about the way. A silversmith named Demetrius, who made silver shrines to Artemis, brought in a lot of business from the craftsmen there. He called them together along with the workers in related trades and said, "You know, my friends, that we receive a good income from this business, and you see and hear how this fellow Paul has convinced and led astray large numbers of people here in Ephesus and in practically the whole province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands are no gods at all. There is a danger not only that our trade will lose its good name, but also that the temple of the great goddess Artemis will be discredited, and the goddess herself, who is worshipped throughout the province of Asia and the world, will be robbed of her divine majesty." When they heard this, they were furious and began shouting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians!" Soon the whole city was in an uproar. The people seized Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's traveling companions from Macedonia, and all of them rushed into the theater together. Paul wanted to appear before the crowd, but the disciples would not let him. Even some of the officials of the province, friends of Paul, sent him a message begging him not to venture into the theater. The assembly was in confusion. Some were shouting one thing, some another, and most of the people did not even know why they were there. The Jews in the crowd pushed Alexander to the front, and they shouted instructions to him. He motioned for silence in order to make a defense before the people. But when they realized he was a Jew, they all shouted in unison for about 2 hours, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians!" And now the city clerk quieted the crowd and said, "Fellow Ephesians, doesn't all the world know that the city of Ephesus is the guardian of the temple of the great Artemis and her image, which fell from heaven? Therefore, since these facts are undeniable, you ought to calm down and not do anything rash. You have brought these men here, though they have neither robbed temples nor blasphemed our goddess. If then Demetrius and his fellow craftsmen have a grievance against anybody, the courts are open, and there are proconsuls. They can press charges. If there's anything further you want to bring up, it must be settled in a legal assembly. As it is, we are in danger of being charged with rioting because of what happened today. In that case, we would not be able to account for this commotion since there is no reason for it." After he had said this, he dismissed the assembly. There were a couple of brave guys here. Alexander, who tries to step up and say something, he's a Jew, and then this city clerk, who somehow quiets the crowd. Very, very brave. Now, we have to keep in mind that this theater that they rushed into and where they begin to shout, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians," was not a small place. In fact, this grand theater still exists in Ephesus today. It is quite impressive as a ruin there. And I kind of even hesitate to call it a ruin because it's really not very ruined. Look at this picture of it. Imagine the huge crowd going crazy as crowds can do. They're about to riot, and this one brave city clerk stands up, quiets the crowd, and begins to reason with them. Have you ever had courage like that? Courage to go against the crowd. Think a moment about what might be important enough to you to stand up for it all by yourself. What would you stand for? Is there anything you would stand up for that way? Is there anything or anyone you would even be willing to die for? As Christians, we have beliefs and values that we don't want to give up for anything. Our loyalty to God and to the principles of His kingdom should be and can be so strong that we will go against the crowd, that we will stand, even if we are all alone. Even something that we would be willing to die for. Let's listen to this comment on the topic of standing up for something. This comes from the Apostle Paul. In fact, Paul wrote this counsel to the Ephesians at the church in Ephesus. Ephesians 6:13. Therefore, put on the whole armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after having done everything, to stand. May God give us the courage to stand for what's important in His kingdom. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining me now is Mike Denny, naturalist and host of Secret Life of the Forest, and coming up soon on Blue Mountain Television, Secret Life of the Desert.
Right.
Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
We have been working at the station on this Secret Life of the Desert production for quite a while, and it's in post-production now.
Yeah.
So
3 years.
3 years, yes. You've been out in the field with Daniel Biggs.
Yes.
And now he is doing editing on the series, and it's almost finished.
Yeah.
So we know that you've actually had an opportunity recently to share some sneak peeks about the series with some special groups.
Yeah.
What are some of those groups you've been able to share it with?
Well, our first big showing was with the Washington Ornithological Society, and they are a statewide organization with many members outside of the state, and it was via Zoom. And there were 138 people on the Zoom, and had a tremendous response to the one single episode that we showed.
Now, ornithological would mean birds.
Study of birds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So did you show an episode that particularly highlighted birds?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
It was especially selected for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they thoroughly enjoyed it. They learned about places where birds congregate that they had no idea existed.
So I know you had a tremendous response from that group. Very excited about what they saw.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing was a lot of people live in the Seattle area or Portland area, and they're unaware that the rest of the state is arid or desert in any way, shape, or form. And so that was a big surprise to many of them. I had one lady tell me that she assumed that Washington was all covered with trees.
Really?
I said, oh, no, no, no. And then we've had other people tell us that they've been to Eastern Washington because they went to Leavenworth. Well, there's so much more to Washington than just the Cascades and the West Side. 2/3 of the state is beyond Leavenworth.
Yes.
So, but in Oregon, many, many people have discovered the east side of Oregon, and it is one of the most recreated areas in all the state.
Yes. And so people know a little bit more about these desert areas in Oregon.
Yeah.
And also you recently presented to a group in Othello.
Yes. We went to the Othello Sandhill Crane Festival this last weekend, and there were 86 people in the theater where we showed the episode that we selected, and the response was unbelievable. They were excited. They kept saying, we can't wait to see the rest of this series. And the other interesting thing about it was that they were overjoyed about the message, and they were extremely interested in those areas that we showed. And along with the images and the text that we share, we have a real message about stewardship, conservation, and our personal responsibility out there when we're out there. And that went over very, very well. And one outgrowth of this was a real call for a name for the interior desert west.
Well, this is an amazing story, because what have we been calling it?
Well, we've been calling it the channeled scablands.
Yeah.
And it's just not inspiring.
No.
And so they would love to see something on the west side of Washington. The Puget Sound has another name that is building and being used more and more, and that is a Salish Sea.
Yes.
And they would like to see something like that for the interior Northwest deserts. And so I am going to be visiting with several different confederated tribes, and we are going to come up with a name like the Salish Sea, only for the interior western deserts. And that's a direct outgrowth of this series.
It's just
one
a huge
showing.
Thrill, really.
Yeah.
That showing of one episode that's really just a teaser preview of what we've got going inspired people already to say, we have to have a better name for this treasure that we have, really.
Yes.
Yeah, and then to go to the tribes and get their view, their name.
Yes.
What it should really be called.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Because somewhere in the languages that were spoke here, they have a name for this area.
Yes, and we would sure like to know what it is.
We're going to find out what that is.
Really great.
Yeah.
So we've had such a positive response to these little previews that have happened already. And I know that we've got a premiere, a big premiere coming up for Secret Life of the Desert. Give us some details about that.
Well, it will be on May 22nd at the Power House Theater here in Walla Walla. And there'll be 2 showings, and one at 3 p.m. and one at 7 p.m. And you can buy tickets only online through the Power House Theater. And it's the Gesa Power House Theater. So you'll have to go online to purchase those tickets. They're $10 a piece. And it will be well worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Dan has cooked up a beautiful representative showing of all the different episodes that we filmed.
Yes. So rather than being just one specific episode, this is going to be specifically made for the premiere, where we'll see elements from a number of episodes.
Correct.
And it will be of significant length. It's worth the $10 to come and see it. Plus, you'll be there, and Daniel Biggs will be there to take some questions from the audience.
We'll have a 20-minute Q&A after the showing of the film. So
really good. And I know that the Gesa Power House Theater is such a wonderful venue to enjoy something.
Yes.
In fact, I just learned last night that they will have the ability to show Secret Life of the Desert in 4K.
Correct.
So it's going to be even beyond high definition and really amazing on their big, beautiful screen there.
Yeah, and the sound is amazing. They have a wonderful sound system, and their screen is designed to take 4K and high definition footage. So
it's really going to be great.
Yeah.
So people can go to the Gesa Power House Theater website. They can reserve their tickets there. I think you can even pick where you want to sit. So it's pretty nice.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, if you're there, you can pick. Oh, and I should mention that the tickets go on sale on Friday, April 1.
Correct.
Yeah, not an April Fool's joke.
No, it's for real.
It's for real.
Yes.
That's when it begins. So that's when you want to go to the website. Now, I know that recently you also have been receiving some feedback about Secret Life of the Forest, which is the previous series, which we all love and treasure. It's not at the same technical quality that Secret Life of the Desert will be, with the high definition and stuff, but we know it's had a great impact already in our community. Yeah. And recently you had a conversation with someone with sort of a surprising outcome.
Yes, I had a phenomenal experience. I was sharing with a class at Walla Walla Community College, and I handed out the beautiful little cards that Dan had prepared, and I was giving them to the students, and this one student suddenly said, "Hey, I'm here because of this series." And I said, "Pardon me?" He goes, "I'm here because of this series." He said, "I watched Secret Life of the Forest," and he said, "and something dawned on me, and that was I had destroyed all my relationships. I was not doing well." And he said, "I looked at that, I watched Secret Life of the Forest, and you kept hammering home the fact that everything in the natural world lives by relationships, dependencies, and that's how it survives." And he says, "I wasn't surviving. I was into addictions. I was doing all kinds of things." And he said, "I decided I was going to clean up my life. I stopped doing what I was doing." And he said, "I came down that next week, signed up to go to college at Walla Walla Community College, and I'm going to graduate this year. And I'm the first person in my family to get a college education."
Wow.
And that brought tears to my eyes.
Sure.
And he said to the other students, he said, "Go watch this. It was a life changer." And I thought, you couldn't write that.
No, you couldn't ask for anything more from it.
And that was phenomenal. So
it's beautiful to see that message that you were intentionally putting into the series, but to see it actually come home for someone in such a powerful way.
Yes. And for a person that, you would never think would even be watching it. And here he was. He was watching it, paying attention, and got the message.
Yes.
And so that was truly, it gave me a feeling that, all that hard work was worth it. Just even if it was only one person, it was entirely worth it.
Yes.
So
what a reward.
Yeah.
And I know that you as you work on this, you've volunteered. I want to emphasize that, volunteered so many hours. You may have kept track, but I've lost track. So many hours that you have volunteered to both of these projects. Yeah. And we're very grateful. I know our viewers are really grateful. But what do you really hope that this series, Secret Life of the Desert, will do for our viewers and for our community?
Well, I have two primary goals when we started this. One is about stewardship and conservation of these areas, because we as Americans only protect those things we understand and appreciate.
Yes.
And we obviously have not understood or appreciated our desert areas. In fact, every time Dan and I were out filming, we found tons of garbage, trash, dumped cars, destroyed garbage all over the place. Yeah. And it's really disheartening, and it makes me sad, because we're trashing a part of our earth that we were given, and we have stewardship of this.
Yes.
And we don't seem to understand that. And so the other thing that I hoped the message that gets through is that every part of nature that's out there is dependent on another part of nature, and nothing is an island unto itself out there, and either are we. Mm-hmm. And so we like to think that we are above all this and we are not dependent on that. Well, in reality, we are entirely dependent on it. So people go, well, it's just a desert, it's a wasteland, scab land, who cares? Well, the bottom line is we better all care, because it's these very lands that throughout history, deserts have been those places where people that are busy and on missions and doing all kinds of things go to get respite and go to think things out and go to recover and relax. Deserts are the most relaxing places on earth if you take water with you. Yes. So, but it is, deserts are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And many people don't understand deserts, and that's why we made this series. We want them to understand the incredible value of deserts. And we have individuals and large corporations and all kinds of groups that see deserts as something to take from and never give back to. Mm-hmm. And we want to turn that around.
Yes. So. It's a great mission, really exciting mission.
It is.
And I can't wait for the premiere myself.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking time today to share with us, especially these stories that are really inspiring. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And stay tuned. I'll be right back with Station News. Welcome back. It's time for Station News. As you just heard, as I was interviewing Mike Denny, we do have this great premiere coming for Secret Life of the Desert. One more time, that's going to be at the Gesa Power House Theater on Sunday, May 22. 2 times that you can see it, either 3 p.m. or 7 p.m. And you can attend at either time. You do need to get a ticket. Tickets are $10. Tickets go on sale on April 1. And you go to the Gesa Power House Theater website to reserve those tickets and to pay for them there. So really excited. We know we have people actually who've already told us that they're coming in from all parts of Oregon and Washington, not just our area right here, driving for hours to come to this premiere. So I would recommend you actually go online pretty early and get your tickets for this event as soon as they go on sale. And also, we will have a new Secret Life of the Desert website launching soon. And you need to jot down this address because it's not live right at this moment, but it will be really soon. So jot this down, www.secretlifetv.com. That's secretlifetv.com. And right kind of in conjunction with that, as we're having this premiere on May 22, we are going to, just prior to that, have our spring fundraiser. And so also mark on your calendar May 16, May 16 and 17 from 6 to 10 p.m. So you want to mark on your calendar May 16 and 17 for the fundraiser, and then also have that May 22 date marked. And we're going to have some behind the scenes about Secret Life of the Desert and the filming of that series. it's going to be really exciting. Also, we have a wonderful musician who's going to be sharing with us the most beautiful music videos. I got to see one of them last night at our board meeting, and it was fantastic. And he's a Russian musician, singing mostly in English, although we will probably have a few Russian ones as well with subtitles, so you can tell they'll be familiar hymns that you know anyway. And his name is Simon Horlowski, and we are really, really looking forward to sharing this beautiful music with you, and the scenery and the locations that he uses for his beautiful spiritual songs that he's sharing with us are very similar to the kinds of locations that we were using in our Secret Life of the Desert series. So it's just going to go together really beautifully during that fundraiser on May 16 and 17, 6 to 10 p.m. on each of those nights. Also, you deserve a little update about what's happening with our move toward the new facility and our move toward high definition at the station. I know I say this all the time that we're getting closer, but we really literally are now. We actually, if you go to our live stream online, where you watch Blue Mountain Television streaming, not over the air, but if you're watching the streaming, any programs we have that are already available in high definition, you will be seeing those in high definition on our stream now. And that is a brand new thing for Blue Mountain Television. We are so happy about it, so excited about it. It means we can offer to you the highest possible quality that we can get those programs in. We can share that directly to you. You'll also notice that the aspect ratio on our stream has been modified to now be the 16:9 and not the 4:3 shape. So just a lot of things that are happening that are better already. And we are getting very close to being able to offer you the entire broadcast over the air in high definition as well. And we are in that 16:9 format on the air. So these are good things that are happening in that project. And also, we submitted our construction, our request for construction permit from the county recently for the changes we needed, modifications we need to make in the new facility. And we've heard back from them. They're asking for some additional information and some clarification in a few areas. And it's not huge. We can do it. We can easily pull together the information that they're needing and get that back to the county. So we think we're in good shape and on track to be able to get that construction permit and be able to move forward. Just wanted to let you know right where we are as we're working on this process. We had a good board meeting of our board of directors last night as I'm recording this, and we're able to share a lot of these exciting bits with them as well. Just very excited about how the station's moving forward and grateful to you, because it's your donations given to the station that help it move forward. I will let you know that as we looked over our financial report for the last couple of months, we are a little bit short in our operating budget, what we need. So we could use an extra boost in the operating budget with gifts coming in for our operation. We're not too far off, but we need a little bit more coming in every month. And so if you've been thinking, hey, I should give something to Blue Mountain Television, but you haven't been, this would definitely be the time to do it, because we need a little boost there for our operating budget. And also, I also noted in looking over it that gifts specifically for the new facility have really dropped off a lot compared to what they used to be. Pretty small the last couple of months. So I encourage you, if you were thinking, oh, I'm going to give so much a month toward the new facility, or I have $300 I'd like to just share with the new facility, or whatever amount it might be, this would be a great time to do that, because we're just about ready to start making those changes, and we're going to need a pot of money to work with to do that. So thank you for the gifts that you're giving. Very, very important. Thank you for your prayers for the ministry. Thank you for watching, for sharing about our programs with your friends. All of those things are essential. And I'd also like to thank you for watching the show today. It's good to spend this time with you, and I will see you next time.